So many times, I've had the opportunity to be in the presence of people who say, once they apologize, then everything is over. That's it. They don't owe you nothing. They've done their due diligence, and you can be still up in your feelings, but those people have gone on with their lives. But I want to read something to you from the book of Leviticus concerning when you sin against the Lord. Because when you sin against the Lord, when you sin against your brother and sister, whether you want to admit it or not, you sin against the Lord. And this is what the word of God says in Leviticus 6. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, if a soul sin and commit a trespass against the Lord, and lie unto his neighbor, and that which was delivered him to keep, or in fellowship, or in a thing taken away by violence, or hath deceived his neighbor, or have found that which was lost, and lieth concerning it, and sweareth falsely in any of all these that a man doeth, sinning therein. Then it shall be, because he hath sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violently away, or the thing which he had deceitfully gotten, or that which was delivered to him to keep, or the lost thing which he found, or all that about which he hath sworn falsely. He shall even restore it in the principal, and shall add the fifth part more thereto, and give it unto him to whom it appertaineth in the day of his trespass offering. And he shall bring his trespass offering unto the Lord, a ram without blemish out of the flock, with thy estimation, for a trespass offering unto the priest. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord, and it shall be forgiven him for anything of all that he hath done in trespassing therein. So many times, like I said earlier, we think that once we apologize or once we say something that we are in the clear. Or so many times we take stuff from people, we deceive people, we manipulate people, we use people out of order, and then we'll think that it's okay. Okay, well, I'm sorry. And you think that's over with. But no, you got to pay back the principle on that, because you've took something from them. You've robbed these people of virtue. You've robbed these people of something that belonged to them. In the court of secular law, there is something known as restitution. And restitution happens when you take something from somebody that doesn't belong to you, or you vandalize something that somebody owns. And therefore, they'll take you to a court of law. And when you go to the court, the judge would establish that if they can prove it, you've been found guilty, and therefore you must make restitution fees. But not only do you have to make restitution fees, you have to pay the court costs and whatever other costs that come along with your guilt. That's principle. You got to cover it all. So you think that if I apologize, then it's fine. But have you rebuilt trust? Have you covered that trespass that you sinned against your brother and sister? Because whereas you sinned against your brother and sister, you therefore have too sinned against God. And now you have to make an atonement for your sin. So you don't just get to apologize. You must make an atonement for that sin, because that atonement for that sin forgives you of that trespass. And a lot of people don't want to do that. For some people, you got to reestablish trust. For some people, you got to pay back that what you took. For some people, you got to apologize and say you sorry, mean it from the bottom of your heart, and don't do that again. But here it is. They had to bring a trespass offering unto the Lord. And the ram that's used for atonement symbolizes something sincere, something genuine, something worthy, something clean, something pure unto the Lord, because he don't want you to offer him something that's tainted. That wouldn't be fair. If you abandon my new car and then you want to give me your old car, no, that's not fair. I want a new car in replacement of that new car you just abandoned. You don't get to give me an old car in place of the new car when I already had a new car and you took it. When you took something from them deceitfully, when you robbed them of some virtue deceitfully. You see what I'm saying? Even with the lady with the issue of blood, when she touched Jesus's garment, the hem of his garment. And and Jesus perceived that his virtue had been, he perceived that virtue was taken away from him. And he said, somebody touched me. And he noticed that it's pretty much like you. If you've been used, abused, confused, or whatever, and you realize that one day you like, somebody touched me. Somebody done took some virtue away from me. Because now, whereas you didn't know, you can tell that somebody has gotten some goodness from you, and they've done it deceitfully. They didn't do it the right way. But what she ended up doing, she ended up repenting before Jesus. And then guess what? Her confession made her whole because she admitted what she done. So many times we got people who don't want to admit what they done wrong, and they wonder why they can't get to the next level. It's because you haven't offered up an atonement for what you've done to someone. You haven't offered up some kind of gift to say, you know what, I apologize. I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. I didn't know it would hurt you like that. I wasn't thinking, whatever your excuse is, forget about your excuse. Make the atonement. But because you've taken something away from them and they perceive it. And so now they're in a state of bitterness. They're in a state of confusion. You know what I'm saying? They're in a state of oppression, suppression, because you've taken some virtue away from them and you won't apologize for it and mean it and pay back the principal on the thing in which you took. But instead you feel like, okay, I said I'm sorry and I don't owe you nothing. I said I'm sorry and I don't owe you nothing. Well, that's not going to cut it. You got to fix what you broke. And so many times we don't want to do that. We don't want to fix what we broke. We just want to say we're sorry and we just walk away when the thing is still broken. It's like this. If your car breaks down on the side of the road and you need to get from point A to point B, do you say you sorry to the car for the car to crank back up and get to the next destination? No, you don't. You got to fix what's broken on that car in order for you to get back up in that car and get to your next destination. Or guess what you got to do? You got to get a replacement. That's what you got to do. You got to make an atonement. You got to fix it. You got to renew it. You got to correct that which is broken. That's what you got to do. But so many times we don't want to do that. And here it is. God said, once you've done that, once you've sinned against them, he says right here, he said, if you know that you've taken away something from them, and he lied unto his neighbor in that which was delivered him to keep, or in fellowship, in fellowship, unifying, you come together as a community and you celebrate a specific cause, okay? Or in the thing taken away by violence. You took something from somebody out of order. I mean, you didn't get permission to take it. You done took it out of violence. It's almost like you holding them in a stick up. That's mine. Giving him. You burglarizing them. You taking something from them without their permission. He says, or taken away by violence, or have deceived his neighbor. Now you lying to your neighbor. You done lied to your neighbor. You done covered up something that you know belonging to that neighbor. And you hidden it to keep it for yourself. He says, or have found that which was lost and lieth concerning it. Your neighbor lose something. You pick it up, say, some people be saying finders keepers, losers weepers. Okay, this is what the word of God say. And lieth concerning it and swear it falsely. When they come and ask you, did you see it? I mean, you was walking behind me when it happened. I seen you kind of bend down a little bit. I didn't know if you got it or not. And you said, no, I didn't touch it. Okay. And swear it falsely, and in any of all these that a man doeth, sinning therein. That's sin. Sin is when you do things out of order. Sin is a perverse spirit, and that's doing things out of order. So God is telling you, if you do these things, this is sin. And it's not only sin against them, it's sin against me. You didn't get permission for what you done. You weren't honest with a person about something that you knew was on the inside of you that should have been told to them. He says, then it shall be, because he hath sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violently away, or the thing which he hath deceitfully gotten, or that which was delivered him to keep, or the lost thing which he found, okay, or all that about which he hath sworn falsely. He shall even restore it in the principal. You got to restore it back all, plus, because you weren't honest about what you done. So now you gotta pay more than what it would have cost you to just tell the truth.